Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. So in today's head-to-head comparison, we're going to take a look at the outgoing BMW X3 and the brand new 2025 BMW X330i. Now for the 24-year model, this is an sDrive30i. The xDrive30i is the same vehicle, just rear-wheel drive versus all-wheel drive. I borrowed both of these from Hendrick BMW Northlake. Take a look at the website. That link is down in the description below. So let's get right into it. With the 25 BMW X3, these have a starting MSRP at $49,500. So a slight bump versus the 24-year model at $48,900. Now, as far as the powertrain goes, you're looking at a 2-liter 4-cylinder turbocharged engine. It's also paired to the hybrid system and the 8-speed automatic. The 25 pumps out 255 horsepower, 295 pound-feet of torque. So you have that same engine for the 24-year model. It doesn't have that hybrid system, but it's also paired to the 8-speed automatic, and it pumps out 248 horsepower, 258 pound-feet of torque. So slightly less. Both of these weigh nearly 4,000 pounds. We have the same 0 to 60 time, right around 6 seconds. Top speed is going to be 155 miles an hour for the 25-year model with the performance package versus 130 miles an hour for the 24-year model. And then they have the same fuel tank at 17.2 gallons. However, you'll expect to see around 21 and 28 for the 25-year model and 23 and 29 for the 2024. The dimensions are also very similar. However, the length on the 25-year model is about 2 inches longer than the 24. So let's work our way to the exterior styling now, where on the 25-year model, we have a much different headlight design. So you'll notice as I go over to both of them in frame, you'll see that we have a much different design with the DRLs and turn signals versus that C-shaped look on the 24-year model. For this model too, you can also get the illuminating kidney grille. So that entire surround will light up. There's the forward-facing camera along with the sensors, active grille shutters. There's even parking sensors, more cutouts in the lower section, and just a really nice angular look. If we zoom out now, you'll notice for the 24-year model, it's a little bit more sleek looking, which some people may like. You have the forward-facing camera, different design for that grille. However, there's all the grille shutters, parking sensors, more gloss black in that lower section. So from here, it almost looks like the XM. It's a lot more angular, a lot more crisp, but still retains a very similar design. Now, as we work our way to the side, wheel options are going to vary, but for the 25-year model, there's a really nice set of two-tone wheels with the blue M Sport brake calipers. For this particular model, it just has the standard brakes and then a nice two-tone design for the wheel. Now, there's a trim accent just behind that tire. There's nothing behind the tire on this model. Now, you also have the power folding side mirrors with the camera and the turn signal with that two-tone design, and then the exact same thing for the 24-year model. Now, there's a big difference here. You have a sunroof, which actually opens, so the front section opens like a normal sunroof, and you have the gloss black roof racks. For the 25-year models, this is just one solid piece of glass. There's no longer an opening in the front of it, and then you have the gloss black for the roof racks. So from what I've been told, previous owners of the X3, there were some issues with maybe water leaking through the sunroof. They just wanted the solid glass. So BMW has answered previous owners' complaints with that, and so you have the solid glass now. Now, as far as the side design goes, we have the more traditional door handles for the 24-year model. Really nice fender arches. There's that lower side skirt there that pokes out. For the 25-year model, you have the flush door handles, and then you have some angular looks in that lower section. So they do have a very similar side design to them, but you'll notice too that the 25-year model is a little bit more boxy in that rear end versus the 24. So let's work our way to the back now, where this has that integrated spoiler with the third brake light. There's the wiper blade, a new set of LED taillights there. You have the backup camera, all the sensors, gloss black in the lower section, and then you do still retain remote start, so you can use the key fob in order to do that. Now, for the 24-year model, you'll notice that the spoiler is much different, not as much gloss black, because the spoiler is extended on the 25. You have the dark housings for those LEDs, backup camera, all the sensors, and then a different design for the exhaust. So you have the dual exhaust versus we didn't see it on the 25-year model, and you still get remote start with this as well. Now, you can use the key fob for both of these or that button there. They both have the power liftgate, where for the smaller size, you have a good bit of space. Underneath the floor, you have a lot of cargo space where you can hide some items if you would like to. You have this cover here. You can also fold down the back seats as well. You have a hook and a 12 volt there. So pretty good amount of space, and then the 2 buttons up top to close and lock the vehicle. And then as we work our way back to the 25-year model, you'll notice you don't see any of the exhaust tips, so I didn't point that out, but they're pretty much not there. I know a lot of people like the look of having the exhaust pipes, which is something I would like to see too. Now in the back of this X3, when you lift up the floor, you have a spare tire. So there was no spare on the 24-year model, and you still get a lot of space. You get the cargo cover there, you get a net, 12 volt, and a hook, and then the back seats fold down just like on the 24. And then you have the same 2 controls up top to lock that. Now let's work our way to the interiors now, where we have the door handles, and we have it currently locked at the moment, so we'll just have to reach in and hit unlock there. Obviously all the interiors will differ. This has the espresso brown interior, but we have the manual adjusting sunshade, we have this trim accent surrounding the release handle, and then you have storage space down below. And then as we take a look at the interior, we'll just fold down the seat real quick, so that way you can get a look from this angle with the seats folded down. And then as I hop in, I realize there's some items here, but we'll just take a look anyway here. At 5'10", I have plenty of room. There's a storage net here. There's also an area where you can place tablets and attach them. You have air vents in the middle, along with some auxiliaries, a little bit of storage there. And then right in the middle, we also have the armrest with 2 cup holders there. And then as far as my height goes, 5'10" with a hat on, I still have about a ½ inch, maybe a little bit more if I leaned over this way. We have about 2 inches there, so it's pretty comfortable. Seats are reclined slightly, so it just gives you a really nice feel, especially for the smaller size. And then as we hop out, pretty easy to get out. So the roofline there is in a good spot for adults to fit. Now as we work our way to the 24-year model, there's no adjustable sunshade, so that has been added. And then we have a different design for the door handle, the storage underneath, and then some of the brushed accents are different as well. And then as we work our way to the interior for this model, we can fold down the seats. They do the exact same thing, of course, with the 2 on this side being connected. And then with the front seat set at my height for this model, you have the storage nets. You don't have the area to place tablets there. But you have the air vents, you do have a little bit more climate adjustments, and then some storage down below, same auxiliaries there. And then in the middle, you can pull this down where we have a different design for the cup holders. So you actually have to pop them open versus on the other model where they were just exposed there. Middle seat folds down just like on the other model too. And as far as headroom goes, I have probably about the same here. So it's relatively similar. They're going to be very similar in their overall dimensions. So there's not going to be major differences with that back seat space. So let's work our way up front. Now I have full reviews on both of these models. So if you want to see these in greater details, take a look at those reviews. I'm just going to highlight key areas like the memory seats, you have your window controls, more storage down below, you have the power folding or the power operating front seats there. And then let's start this up real quick where we have that button down below. You get the leather heated steering wheel, brushed aluminum for these accents. You have cruise control settings, all of your adjustments for your audio and everything. And then you can also get into your music shortcuts on the head-up display there. But on the gauge cluster, this is all the information that you can go through. It's over on the right side there. Everything else is going to be fixed. So you can at least scroll through all of that just to see it as needed. You do get storage on this left side. You have your headlight adjustments. And then with the infotainment system, I know some people do like this better. It's pretty easy to go through. You have your Apple CarPlay, Android Auto. You have various different settings that you can get into along with your driving information, vehicle status. You can scroll through all of this as needed. There's also shortcuts down below, so you can quickly get through all of this information. Very easy to use. You even have some safety features that you can get into. You have your climates down below along with your heated seats. The rest of those adjustments are laid out nicely. Volume and tuning, all of your presets. You get wireless charging with some auxiliaries and cup holders. And then we have the actual shifter. So for this model, we have the 360 view. So you can get into all of those different camera angles as needed. So you can see around the entire vehicle. You have automatic parking, backup assistance. You can also shift using the shifter or the paddle shifters, of course. And then you have traction control, a shortcut to the forward-facing camera, parking sensors, engine start stop, and then a few different driving modes. So you can go through these as needed, which is nice. You have auto hold, the e-brake there, plenty of storage in the armrest as well as in the glove box there. And then you have garage door buttons up top and then the adjustments for the sunshade and the sunroof. And then here's a look at visibility. You have pretty large cargo windows in the back there, so over that right side is pretty nice. And then over the left side, you can still see out of the back windows there. So visibility is really good for this smaller size vehicle. But let's work our way to the all-new 2025 now, where this door panel is going to be much different. There's an illuminating trim accent that surrounds the release handle, where there's lock and unlock, memory seating adjustments, and then a fan adjustment. Everything else is relatively similar, just in a little bit different of a design. And then we have the power operating seats as well. Now, like I said, full review on the 25-year model, so take a look at that for all the details. You get a leather steering wheel that has a flat bottom design to it now, so a little different. You have cruise control settings, you have the paddle shifters, and then you have a lot more to go through on this digital gauge cluster. So you can scroll through all of this content. You can even go into the layouts here. And then you also have the head-up display with multiple adjustments. So you have a lot more technology for this model. So that way you can go through all of this as needed and get everything set up the way that you would like to. So very nice to see that. Paddles are also a little bit different here. And you get a boost setting over on that left side. Now you lose all of that storage space over here. You have one air vent. And then as we work our way to the infotainment system, you'll notice it's the continuous screen. So we have that large curved screen where you have all of your presets in the lower section versus fixed on the left. Now you still have about the same amount of information. There's going to be a little bit more for this model. You do have the heated seat, or heated steering wheel, but it is now located in the screen versus on the steering wheel. And you get ventilated seats as well. So for a similar price, you do have a lot more tech features. It's pretty easy to go through that screen though. You have more of the lighting underneath with some fan adjustments, tons of storage down below. You have the same shortcuts, so you can still go through this screen without using it as a touchscreen system, which is nice. But you do get some more modes. So when you push on the modes, now you have all of these, just depending on the mood that you're in and the lighting that you would like to see. It's going to change all of the lighting for everything. Maybe a little bit of a gimmick, but it's pretty cool to see. You also have some more shortcuts down below to get into your driver assistance, your displays. You can pull up your parking as well. So that way you can pull up all of these views, very similar to the 360 view on the 24-year model. So essentially the same, nothing too different there. Biggest difference is the shifter. So you don't have that actual stalk. You have this little switch here to go through everything. You get some storage in the armrest there. Glove box controls a little bit different. And then up top still retains the garage door buttons. However, now we just have the sunshade. So like I said, the sunroof doesn't actually open. And then as far as visibility goes, it's going to be pretty similar. There's really nothing different about the overall interior view compared to the 24-year model. So with the exterior and the interiors wrapped up for both of these X3s, let's get them out on the road and see how they drive. So as we set off now behind the wheel for the 24-year model, you can get a good look at what it looks like from the driver's seat. This is a really nice vehicle to drive. It's not something that is going to be extremely performance oriented, but it has a good bit of power and plenty of driving modes. So that way you can configure this as needed, just depending on how you would like the steering, your engine, your transmission to react. So it's nice that you do have some of those subtle drive modes just to give you a little bit of changes, just depending again on how you want to drive. But it's a really nice place to be, especially going over these speed bumps here. It's actually pretty smooth, so it's pretty nice to drive here. It's not loud either. We'll put it into sport mode here and give it an acceleration from second gear. So just a minor get up and go here. Paddles are pretty responsive. Like I said, I have a full review where you can see this driving a lot more than today. But the paddles are nice. And I mean, it's a nice vehicle to drive. If you're just looking for a smaller size vehicle, this is definitely going to give you a very luxury focused drive. And it's also very maneuverable too. So especially in parking lot situations, things like that, you are definitely going to be able to park this well and not have to worry about that, especially with the 360 camera system and all of that. But it's a super comfortable vehicle to drive. I really don't have any complaints with it from the models that I have driven in the past. And I think a lot of people do like this interior slightly more. I think previous owners like the updates, especially with the sunroof like I showed earlier. The larger screen just takes a little bit of time to get used to, but I think it's a good layout, but I think this is a great layout too. So it really just depends on your preference and what you like best. We have the shifter here, which is nice. And of course you have ambient lighting too. It's just not as defined as the 25-year model. The handling is also really good. Yes, I'm in the parking lot here, but like I said, from driving them before, they handle well. It's a really smooth ride. So let's hop into the 25-year model. And behind the wheel now for the 25-year model, you'll notice big difference already with the screen and especially the steering wheel. So I like that BMW is now putting this steering wheel in a lot of their 25-year models. It just has a really nice grip to it. The flat bottom design gives it more of that sporty look, but it's also functional in getting in and out as well versus having the solid circle. But like I said, I've driven these out on the road quite a bit, and a lot of people aren't really a fan, I guess, of the new change. I wasn't a huge fan when I first saw this car, but it's kind of growing on me. I like the ambient lighting here. Yes, it's a little bit gimmicky, but I think it gives it a great look. Everything is proportionally sized for this interior too, so it gives it a great look. Now with this model, you don't have, or I guess we could still put it into sport mode here, and we can give it an acceleration. Here we go. And just a mild acceleration, you know, I'm not going to feel a huge difference. I'm not doing 0 to 60 performance driving, but the paddles are still very responsive. And we do have this boost paddle, which is basically just going to downshift slightly just to give you a little bit more of that acceleration. Of course, we do have more power with the 25-year model. And then you have multiple different settings here that you can go through just depending on what you would like to, how you would like the vehicle to respond. So when you go into all of these modes, just by doing that. So there's really not as many modes like the 24 with the eco, the sport, and the comfort. Really, this is just if you want it in normal or sport mode. The others are just going to change the graphics and things like that. But it drives very similar. It's what you would expect, really, between both of these. So there's not a huge difference in how they drive on a day-to-day basis, aside from just having a little bit more power. And then, of course, a completely different interior, too. It's going to be just as comfortable, very smooth. And it's also interesting to see that BMW hasn't really hiked up the price for the newer model. A lot of times, newer models are thousands of dollars more expensive. This went up, what I think it was $1,000, if that, somewhere around there for the starting MSRP. For a completely new redesign and a lot more technology, doesn't seem that bad at all for what you are getting. So if you own a previous model BMW X3, let me know if you are looking to upgrade to a 24. You only have two, or a 25, you only have two trim levels now. You have this 30i and then you have the 50, which I have been able to film. So that's going to give you the inline 6 with a lot more power if you are looking for something like that. So we are back from our test drive now with both of these X3s. Honestly, they're going to drive fairly similar. However, you do get more power with the 24-year model, so you can feel that slightly. These aren't vehicles made to go 0 to 60, but you can definitely feel it under some of the accelerations. I know it was a short test drive for today, but I have the full reviews where I have a lot more driving experience. Today was just a short clip, just to at least show both of them out on the road and how they drive. So comment down below, which model are you going with? If you went with the X3, do you like the outgoing design, or do you like the brand new look for the X3? Comment down below and let me know. If you enjoyed today's video, give it a huge thumbs up and consider smashing that subscribe button so you guys don't miss out on our daily uploads. I will see you all in the next video.